Hey everybody, we're going to be putting an electric power steering kit on a 66 Bronco today, and this is going to be a how-to install. Here's the kit as you'll receive it. We got a long shaft, a short one, your bag with instructions, all the zip ties and screws that you'll need, the specialty bracket which mounts the module, all the wiring that you need, the module that goes inside the dash or under the dash. We did have one previously installed on this, so that'll make it easier for the videoing. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and we'll show how the bracket goes on first. There's a factory hole in the frame that's slotted right here, and then that's where it's threaded. It's just a small piece of flat stock that goes down into that. Go ahead. Yeah, so you fish it down in through that slotted factory hole. Back of the bracket slides under the gearbox, and then you'll reuse a factory bolt that holds the gearbox on. I'll show you that bolt. Comes through this side, goes over, comes through that bracket, and then there's a 1/2-inch lock nut that'll go on that. The factory shafts on these, steering shaft comes out of the steering column, and it's one piece. So it's got the factory swivel joint on one end, and then it's one piece. So we cut that off of there. So factory, it looks like that. And the amount that you're leaving out is 1 7/8, and that goes up into that bearing. So my tape measure's up next to the bearing, 1 7/8. That's the factory clamp. That's the factory clamp right there. And then what we do is this round shaft needs to be turned into what's called a double D. So there's a flat on each side. And you can take the shaft completely out. You can take it to a machine shop, tell them what you need. I'm sure they'll gladly do it. You can also do it. You can use a cutoff wheel. You can use a hacksaw. So, okay. So next, after the bracket's installed, he's installed the smaller U-joint. And the main unit goes down onto the bracket, and there's 3 bolts. Three bolts that thread from the front into the main part of the unit through the bracket. We've got these kits available. Website is steermancycle.com. In the hardware bag that comes with the kit, there's these zip ties, and they've got kind of a Christmas tree or a clip style on the bottom that goes through a hole, and then you can run these through, tighten them up, and then there's a little button on the bottom that you can push and hold, and then it comes back apart, so they're reusable. If for some reason you need to move the wiring out of your way while you're working on something else, that can be removed. Wiring goes back behind the brake master cylinder, back behind the air cleaner, and it goes into the little space in the firewall behind the air filter. See if I can show you in there. That's the grommet, which is also supplied with the kit, and it's already on the wiring harness. So, and that's 1.5 inch hole. Use a hole saw to cut that in there. So the main unit harness goes over to the driver's side. The main power and the main ground come over here to the passenger side, and there's where we got the main ground. And then from that same mounting location, run that ground down to your engine, and make sure those are super clean. And then the main power wire runs along the factory harness, comes over here, zip tie it wherever it's necessary. Got one there, and then it goes to the battery side of your starter solenoid, and that'll supply your main power. Okay, looks like he's ready to install the longer shaft now, and these are collapsible. So slide the module side on first. The double D side goes on. There's 2 set screws on that side. And those set screws need to be super tight. You do not want that falling off. These jam nuts, once you tighten that set screw, that's not enough. This jam nut goes down, and then you also tighten that, and then that'll ensure that set screw won't come back out. And it's always a good idea to double and triple check after you're done before you drive. Go for your first drive to check and make sure everything's tight. And then once you've put a few miles on it, check them again. So this is something you do not want to have come loose. Okay, now I'll do the same on this end. Tighten the set screw. Now I'll tighten the jam nut. And that's about where that module splines. Just barely start to see them in the U-joint area. You don't have to shove it clear down to where it's touching that rubber boot. Just enough to where it's fully engaged and it's got the full width of the splines inside. Okay, he's tightening down the module next. Not the module, the main unit. So those 3 screws that he put through the bracket, he's tightening those up. These other 2 are easier to get through here. And this is an access hole that we cut in this inner fender. You don't have to. You could bend it or reshape it out of the way of the unit. But on this one we chose to cut an access hole. And there can always be a panel put over this too, a removable cover of some kind. Okay, he's got those 3 bolts into the main unit tight. Now he's tightening the bolt that goes through the factory gearbox. It's that top bolt right there. Goes through the bracket. He's tightening that one up. Okay, and you've got the small U-joint tight.
That's next.
Okay, just gonna tighten up that one up last. So basically start from the front, install all your pieces, get all your bolts started but not tight, and then start at the back at the steering column, and then just work your way forward, tightening all the set screws, the jam nuts, bolts to the unit, bolts to the bracket. There's also that bolt down here, if I can find it, that one. Make sure that bolt's tight. This again is a set screw, jam nut, and then it's got a pinch bolt on the front. Okay, now that he's got all that installed, we'll go inside here and show you the module. We've already installed it. It goes right above your gas pedal. So there's a heater box, gas pedal linkage, and then fuse box is right above it. And on this particular one, there is a spot for an accessory plug-in, which is a great place to put that red wire that comes off of this module, and that is your keyed on power. There's a gray plug-in, a big white one, and a small, or two small white ones, and they only go in where they fit. So the gray one on that end, white, and then the two small white ones. There's two bolts, or two screws, sorry, that mount that. Mount it to the firewall. And that's it. We've got it installed. We'll go back up to the front here. Give you one last look here. Everything installed. This is our 66 to 77 Bronco electric power steering kit. Thanks for watching.